building, got me in a hot seat. See that? I can imagine back in the day when you was student government.
Well, yeah, because I put. Yeah. So exactly. So. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Just some ideas as we start to look and see maybe what levels as we start to announce it. Hello. You doing well? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. I think your father gonna like the good stuff. Mm-hmm.
Ready? We got to go ahead and get this started. No, no.
So, good. Hello?
Oh, give me a couple.
Is this on? Okay, I couldn't hear it. Okay. Are you good now?
Yeah, man, thanks.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our second town hall meeting for this academic year. We're going to get started. So, we've got some online submissions. The students were unable to make it today due to scheduling conflict. So, we're going to read their concerns on their behalf and solutions as well. Just want to thank everyone for coming out on their busy schedules for our town hall just to answer these concerns, and we could work together on some solutions for this. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to President Dr. Repollet.
I'm going to stand up because I'm feeling kind of small here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. This is our second consecutive year, our second town hall of the academic year. And I'm so pleased because this is an opportunity to hear our student voices. I think as we start to create a system that's inclusive, we must include the voices of our students, and I think that's very important. And these exercises, we'll call them, have been just proof and evidence that the things that we talk about here, there is solutions. And I want to thank the President's Advisory Council, also known as PAC. So stand up if you're in the room here so everyone knows who you are, the PAC. They got some cool white shirts. Just for historical context, when I was appointed the 18th president of Kane University, one of the things I talked about was creating a kitchen cabinet. Right? Kitchen cabinet consists of individuals that are not inside your immediate cabinet, per se, or senior leadership team, but those individuals who are on the ground, those individuals who really know exactly what's going on, and to be able to provide some solutions. So throughout the last 18 months, 20 months, we have been talking to a lot of constituents throughout the campus. But I can tell you this, the constituent group here that's really made a difference in my mind in regards to the experience on campus. And I think really as we start to look at going from a business-centered model to a student-centered model, there's a time of transition, a transition period, right? So when I look at a business-centered model, I look at business as usual model, I look at a model that's concerned about the bottom line. I'm saying that Andrew's not here, our CFO, he's not here, but I can say this, it's not really about the bottom line, right? So when you're looking at a student-centered or learning-centered university or institution, you're looking at what their needs are, what they need to do to reach their self-actualization. And that would consist of graduation, right? Because you go to school to graduate. You don't go to school to party. You don't go to school to hang out in the cafeteria. But you come here, you pay your dollars, you work hard, and at the end of that track and that pathway is a graduation, is a commencement, is a diploma that said that you met the requirements of Kane University and whatever field you chose. So for us, to me, if I'm going to create a student-centered institution, it starts with the students. So today, unlike the other town hall meetings, we may not have a lot of questions, but it's not going to stop us from engaging because we also know from the PAC some of the concerns that we're having, right? And like before, I want to just put these concerns in the front. The last time we stood there, we talked about security on campus. And I'm proud to say today we're going to talk about some of those outcomes. And I have the police department here, the leaders of the police department, and they're going to talk about some of the outcomes here. So today I know some of the issues that we've been really talking about is housing. And I'm not talking about tuition as far as the cost of housing, I'm talking about housing, the conditions of housing. And I think it's important that we recognize some of your concerns. I've heard from you. And today we're going to have that conversation. Another thing that I heard about is how we communicate with one another. You know, you can't have a student-centered environment when there's no respect. Respect in how we communicate with one another. And I think as we start to grow together, this is our second full year, and as I stated in the past, this year has always been that stress test. Because my first year, we were online, right? We had some students on campus, but predominantly our instruction was asynchronous instruction. But today, as we start to really look and gather our first full year of being back on campus, right? The first year we tackled safety. You know, we talked with health, and that's great. So now we're going to talk about those things that are going to get you interested and engaged, and that's really your experience on this campus. So I want to thank everyone who submitted a question, whether it's online. I want to thank those individuals that talked to and conversed with our PAC. I want to thank the PAC for really being engaged in this, because when I talk about student voices, you always hear me say, it's in action. I don't just like to talk about it, right? We like to be able to show examples of what the student voice is and the outcomes that we come with. So thank you very much. I look forward to Kobe, Jason, and Chris to be able to facilitate this, and I'll try to answer your questions. However, I have a dynamic team. And at times, you know, sometimes the leadership, they don't get recognized. I'm the face of the team, but I couldn't have done the work we're doing without my team. So if you're part of my leadership team, executive team, or you're running things and from a managerial standpoint, please stand up to get recognized. Now, I'm not the only one in the hot seat. So I just pointed them out so you know who they are. Uh, yeah, some people they were smart enough to stand up, not to be recognized. But I think it's important that when we have these conversation discussions, I may call them up to the microphone, up to the front, to be able to talk about some of those things so you can hear collectively from the university. So thank you, and we hope that you have a great time. Please have patience with us. Understand that we're all in it together. This forum is not created to attack and to criticize. It's for moving this university forward and to ensure that your experience on this campus is actualized and you persist to graduation. Thank you.
So, like said before, the speakers weren't unable to make it due to scheduling conflicts, so we'll read their concerns on their behalf. And forgive me if I mistake your name or, say it incorrectly. The first student is Jordan Feener, and her concern was the crowded parking lot during busy hours, so during noon or during college hours, like when, classes start, which was a concern for Jordan Feener. And one of her solutions was maybe a new parking lot or maybe a parking garage was her solution.
Jordan, you said?
Jordan.
Jordy or Jordan?
Jordan.
Jordan, thank you very much for that question. If you're online, that is the age-old problem. As a student here before, I encountered problems. I'm sure Bill Laney, he's an alumni, but he's also the chair of our Kane Foundation. I'm sure Bill had challenges as well. It just seems that's the issue. As we start to grow as a university, we're going to encounter those issues, right? But my senior vice president, Felice Vasquez, and her team has been working well to ensure that at least we can kind of reduce the density on campus. And we've done that. So this summer, we're looking to create a pilot program this summer where we're actually going to have, and I say this is new, so don't just, we're looking to probably have some areas on campus work remote during a period in time in the summer, and then we're going to assess that and to make determinations. So I think one of the things that we're going to do is, A, we understand that's a problem. This is not a problem that's something happened now, it's a problem we've had in the past. Number two is that we have thrown around ideas for a parking garage. However, we're kind of landlocked here, and any construction is going to add on to our tuition. So if we're going to do something like that, we got to be mindful of cost. We got to make sure that the cost of a parking garage does not end up on our students' shoulders and the backs as a result of tuition increase. So we're very mindful of that. We also, Felice is looking at areas, and Felice, is this something that maybe you and John can talk about some of the things that you've been talking about? I know Adam is here in regards to parking. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you. So, as the president said, it's always an issue, not just for Kane University, but for any university that exists in a place that has dense development around it, right? So it's not unique to us. I can tell you that we do regularly evaluate the availability of parking, and there is always parking available. It's just a matter of having to find it and then either take the shuttle bus or walk to the location that you are trying to get to. That being said, there are a couple of things that we're doing. One is that we've worked with the City of Elizabeth, the Elizabeth Development Company, and New Jersey Transit to plan a bus inlet at the Elizabeth train station so that when that station is redone, which there are plans and money allocated already, we will be prepared to run our shuttle buses to and from there so that more people can take public transportation instead of driving. We're also working on looking into bringing a ride share program to Kane where you can sign up to carpool with someone who lives close to you and has a similar schedule. But we do welcome other ideas, and we will always be continuing to look at new options to advance your parking opportunities here at King.
So thank you, Felice. So you see that we have been thinking about it. This is something that we does not go unnoticed. We understand that, but I think the biggest part is where do you want to park, right? Because obviously preferred parking is great. I mean, I'm at Kane Hall. Yes, I would love to park in front of Kane Hall and not have to park by the student center and have to walk. However, sometimes, you know, because of the density on campus and because of the time in which you come to school or come to class, if you come during the core times, then yes. But those individuals who have evening class, they may have a better opportunity. So for us, please, why don't we try utilizing our shuttles, maybe parking across the street on East Campus, because there's parking available there. There's shuttle times, and we did have a conversation about posting. I think, Karen, we had a conversation about posting shuttle times, because that was brought up in our PAC meeting as well in regards to the schedule times. So we hear you, we're trying, however, and I say not be patient, but understand that you may not get to park in your preferred parking spot. However, we are going to make available to you opportunities to take transportation, our own transportation on campus to and from different locations where we have parking lots that are available for you.
Thank you. So our next student is Julia Curtis. I'm reading on behalf of her words. So the food quality at Kane has been on the decline for a while now and really needs to be addressed. After talking to several classmates, the following problems were brought up: quality, meal exchange, expense, wait times, food options, lacking of food options, availability of food, taste, and not enough healthy foods. It is unacceptable for the amount of money it costs. We understand that rising food prices and inflation and the pandemic have a negative effect on the food everywhere, but a lot of these issues were present before the pandemic. So she went ahead and listed some of the specifics. So the meal exchange leaves out many options, and this is with the other option of, you know, paying with Cougar dollars and things like that. With the meal exchange, they might not have as much options. Price of food on campus is expensive, especially for the quality of food that we get. The wait times for many of food options, it can be an hour to an hour and a half, which is too long to get, which is too hard to get between classes. And the food options, in terms of healthy food options, and some of her solutions were finding more productive ways of prepping food orders so that the wait times can be reduced. Chef and food service staff need to be retrained on food prep safety, as multiple students have complained, specifically in the dining halls. Some food locations can be open earlier or later because commuters do have early classes or late classes as well. And it takes time for the food to be prepared. And, working with accessibility services for those with food disorders or sensory disorders.
Well, I want to thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. I know last year, I want to thank our CFO, Andrew Brennan, and his team for looking at options in regards to price and food. We understand that some students require meals every day. They eat every day, at least 3 times a day. We know some students eat twice a day. So one of the things we've done with that, and I'm going to touch on a myriad of things, but let's talk about food pricing, right? We now have 8 options, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. 8 options right now for dining. Before we had fewer options. Second thing, our flex dollars, we open up different locations throughout the city of Union Township and also Elizabeth, and across the street, the Vermella area there, to make sure that they take Kane Flex dollars. We're constantly doing that because we understand we want to make sure that our students have a variety. We also, and this is new, is that we're looking to actually run a bus service up and down Morris Avenue next year to different shops that you can go to, whether it's food, shopping, and from Morris Avenue, from Elizabeth, all the way up to Union Township to give you that opportunity, right? Because we want you to have options. We understand when it comes to times. So there's a supply and demand, right? Because I've heard from students saying, I would love for it to be open at 12 o'clock at night. I would love to be open at 6 o'clock in the morning. However, if you're going to be open, you have staff, and you have to pay staff. And you talk about not incurring those prices. So we have that place open, that eatery open at 6 in the morning, and we only get 20 students, but yet we have a whole staff. That doesn't make sense. So now what do you think that cost is going to fall? That cost is going to fall on the price. So we understand that we are looking, I want to thank Matt Caruso, our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Student Affairs. They have been looking at times in which we are offering food, but we're also monitoring exactly how many folks actually go during the times that request it, right? So we need to make sure we have that. In regards to healthy options, Andrew and his team is really looking at, with gourmet dining, to really offer food services. Last year, we had a student here that was part of the pack, and she was a vegan, right? And she was talking about vegan options. So we've actually opened up and have a little more vegan options. So when we talk about healthier food, I want to make it clear, what does that mean, right? Are we looking at the dietary requirements of health by the federal government and what they require, or is it what your perception of a healthy meal is? So I think that we're meeting those requirements, but maybe we can actually probably look to have other options available. I would love to hear exactly what are some food examples that you have in regards to healthy food, so we can actually take that list and make sure that we have those options available. We are constantly looking at this issue with food, right, to make sure that those individuals that have dietary needs are being met, making sure it's cost effective, and also looking at the time we have and making sure it's all options available. Ellen, do you have anything, Alan, to say you want to talk about it from your shop? Yeah. And introduce yourself real quick, just so.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Orley Weinberg. I'm the Director of Financial Planning and Analysis. And I just wanted to say that it's the communication that you guys share with us that is just so valuable in helping us shape how we're moving forward, because it's really difficult to understand fully the student experience without you communicating that to us. So for that, I want to thank the student for expressing the concerns, and also for the 933 students who completed the campus dining survey back in December. But with that said, just like the president said, I think that we do want to further gather information on what type of cuisine you are looking for, what options you're looking for. We hear about the healthy options. We've taken steps towards that in terms of creating a build your own. I know you've all experienced that over the past couple of weeks or so. You'll now see on the Boost app, under every single food item, a special requests field, which you all have been asking for, to be able to put in whatever type of request you have in terms of any allergies or dislikes, or however you want to tailor your meal. So we hope that has been helpful. But again, with what the president was saying, in terms of gathering your information on what you'd like to see, because we are looking to further reimagine the Miron Student Center food court and what that could look like, what food options you're looking for. We hear healthy, we hear fresh vegetables, and we also are working towards sustainability. So we're trying to really gather what that will look like and what you want. So please be on the lookout in the future for another survey of some sort.
So what I heard also is wait time. I think that's important, especially between classes. So we need to really look at that.
Yep.
Let's talk to gourmet dining. Let's see exactly what is the average wait time for those individuals. That's asking for a meal that's already either an item without dietary needs, right? Let's look at other ways that we can actually pre-order meals and maybe have them go. I know we've done some of that this year, but I don't really know exactly the time it is, the wait time. So the things that I'm concerned about really is wait time, because I know we're in between classes and we understand that we're a majority commuter school and it's important. Second thing is food preparation, right? Whether it's undercooked, overcooked, I think we need to really look into that. So now, when we put these surveys out, it's very important, right? We have about 5,000 to 6,000 students on campus every day, and we only have 900 respondents on our surveys. The more information we gather, the more information we can get, and that's more evidence that we collect to support what you're saying, right? Because we don't want to just say a segment of the population, which is maybe 100, speaking for 5,000, right? We want to make sure that your voice is heard. So, what we can do? Can we resubmit that survey out again just for those individuals so we can possibly get some more respondents? And we're going to constantly work on that. I can tell you right now that working with our CFO and his team, we are looking at a lot of options in regards to food choices, dietary needs. However, we're now going to add on wait time and making sure that the food is prepped. So if you can, Orley and Andrew, have a meeting with gourmet dining. And then what you can do is that we have a website That's a web page that's actually attached to this. So what we can do is that we're gonna put these questions, some of the responses, and some of the solutions on the web page. So we're gonna have, by Monday, we'll have information on some of these things, right? More importantly, it's option, you're talking about the survey. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about food. So let's really kind of take those questions. If you can, give it to our CFO, Brendan, and his team, and we can actually have some solutions for you.
I'll just add one thing on that. In terms of if there are at any point in time a large, a high wait time and you need to get to class, I mean, the dining hall is an all-you-can-eat buffet that's always available, never any line, just so you know that is an option.
And we also need to differentiate
Yeah.
between the dining hall and possibly the Miron Student Center here. Because I think there's two options.
Right.
So I think as we start to really look at that, differentiate, we need to find out. So if you can, get some follow-up from the person that asked the question, as you're referring to the dining halls or referring to Miron Student Center, because I think that's important too, right, to have two different styles.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so the last student to share their concerns, forgive me if I mispronounce this, is New Trin, and their concern was tuition.
Well, I can tell you this, we had a great conversation today regarding tuition and housing, to be honest with you. I think every day we're looking at that. I keep mentioning our CFO, and I'm gonna keep mentioning his name, CFO Andrew Brennan, when it comes to tuition. But we sat down today, and I sat down with our Vice President of Enrollment Management and Marcia McCarthy, and we were talking about tuition, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that, first of all, Kean University has the lowest, let me make it very clear, the lowest tuition in the state of New Jersey for a four-year comprehensive university. So when we're talking about that, and we have not raised tuition the last 2 years under the pandemic health crisis, I think it's important. Especially considering that if you look at all the changes on campus, physical changes on campus, we've done that for the last 2 years, thanks to our Vice President Felice Vasquez and her team, without raising tuition. Right? Because prior to the pandemic, we heard students talk about, where are my student fees going? Well, student fees are going to cover the brand new basketball courts and the brand new field over there in the turf field, because we heard that you wanted to have an additional recreational space. So we understand that, we're looking into that. However, we're also looking at our housing, because we think that our tuition is the lowest in the state. So we're not gonna probably lower our tuition, because then we can't sustain the work that we're doing on campus, and that would have to lead to massive layoffs. That would lead to quality of instruction, right? So we want to make sure we're not doing that. Our job is to make sure there's opportunities for you to be able to supplement your tuition via scholarships, all right? And I mentioned earlier Bill Laney, the chair of the Kean University Foundation, but the CEO, Bill Miller, we're having conversation about him, looking at the scholarships we have available for students and really making it affordable. Had a conversation today with Marcia regarding our Kean Tuition Promise, which is for, sorry guys, this is for incoming freshmen this year. However, I got some good news for you for tuition. Incoming Kean tuition, if you have a certain GPA, I think it's 3.2 GPA, and you met all the requirements of that, and you make less than $65,000 a year, then guess what? Your tuition at Kean University will be paid for by Kean University. So I'm gonna give Andrew and his team a round of applause. That's for the first year. Now you couple that with the fact that you have our Garden State Guarantee, which is Governor Murphy's signature higher ed tuition, free tuition for colleges. For those in year 3 and 4, same thing, requirement under $65,000, meet a certain requirement threshold, you actually pay zero tuition, last chance dollars. However, the Garden State Guarantee always covers up to $65,000 to $85,000, and the maximum tuition is $7,500. So next year, so you juniors and seniors out there, and if you're getting Pell Grant, you're getting TAG, and you're getting financial aid, you're possibly eligible if you meet the requirements, being a full-time student, 15 credits or more, and in good standing, then guess what? You may have tuition free. But we wanted to go further than just looking at tuition, because we know that Kean's tuition is affordable, very affordable. You might have heard me earlier talk about, a few months ago, talk about becoming a research university. Well, guess what? The state of New Jersey has designated us as a research university. With that comes some incentives for students. As a research university, you may see within the next 2 years, I'm not going to say now because of the state government, but you'll see the next 2 years, you're going to see that if you have tag and things like that, you're going to see your tag go up. EOF went up. So we're looking at all these tools that the governor has put out there for us, along with the resource that we provide internally for scholarships, whether it's incoming students in our, what's the one we talked about today? The scholarship for those incoming students who are gifted. The Centennial Scholarship. We have the Kane Tuition Promise, and we have the Garden State, I think, Garden State Equity. So those are tools we have. We have the scholarship program with our Kane Foundation, and now we're looking at our housing. The goal for us is to be affordable for each and every one. I'm a first-generation student, right? A lot of us here, I can tell you this, I'm a former EOF student. I couldn't afford to go to college. My dream school was Hampton University. And I was dejected when I found out that I owed $3,000 for the year, not the semester, for the year. So I understand the impact, right? I didn't go to my dream school, but I ended up in a place that I could afford, the college in New Jersey, Trinity State College, and I was okay because my experience on that campus was what made me feel, forget about Hampton, right? And then as a student here, I had to take out loans as a graduate student. I was a teacher. However, I was a teacher and I just had a child. That was probably 20 years ago around this time. And for me, I had to take out loans. So we understand, whether it's people on our board, our students sitting up here, we understand the need for affordability. So just know this, we have been talking about this for the last year. You know, the fact that we didn't have to offer a Kane Tuition Promise scholarship for those first-year students coming in first and second year. We didn't have to do that. But we did it because we wanted to make sure that Kane remains affordable, that there's access and opportunity here on this campus. So that person there, we got you. We're looking at that. However, I'm actually trying to be creative with housing. I'm not going to tip my hat because I don't want my CFO, because he's looking at me right now. He's looking at me, and I'm just, trying to look this way, right? But we really are trying to make this university high quality. That's important. High quality, making sure it's safe and healthy, but more importantly, affordable.
Okay, and just to move on, just to speak on the matter in terms of specifically for maintenance with housing concerns, some of the concerns shared were laundry rooms in specific residence halls and washers and dryers not fully operational for students and residents, as well as water issues, again in specific residence halls in Cougar Hall, as well as what the work order process looks like and what that system is. So what the following up for the student, the communication procedures, is it effective and efficient to meet our student needs?
You ready to talk about that? Okay, so I just want to say this real quick. I'm going to ask my team, first I'm going to call up our Vice President of Planning, Steve Ramadi, come up to the microphone there. He is definitely in the hot seat. But more importantly, though, I think I'm going to ask Steve and his team to do an audit, because I've been hearing these complaints. I think we're going to do an audit. And I know for a fact we're constantly doing audits. But I think we want to do something that we can publish on top of on our webpage to talk about this. I think it's important, right? I know that there's been a lot of universities this past year, and some of the challenges have to do with housing. And me knowing my daughter attends another school and understanding some of the challenges that I had experienced as a parent walking into a room, right? And so I'm hearing these things, and we can't control everything. We can't control a water main break that happens in the township. That's as a result of that, sewage and stuff back. So we can't control those emergencies. We had a hurricane, and as a result, we had a flood. And these are things that happen, but we can't control our regular maintenance schedule. We can't control assessing the situation, and we also control on the time. I think right now for me, the biggest thing I'm hearing from a lot of things is the time it is to process some of these workloads. So I'm gonna give Steve a chance to really kind of talk about that and explain that. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You can take your mask if you want to.
So I'm going to talk to the
Turn
Cougar
on-
Hall,
turn on-
the
yeah, yeah.
Cougar Hall, I think it was laundry you mentioned, Jason. So the Cougar Hall laundry issue was resolved, and it was a mixing valve repair that had to be done. And it was in the early part of February that we were notified. And since then, I have not received any further notices that we have additional maintenance issues with the washing machines.
Please, ma'am.
But if there are, please do let me know, and we'll continue to follow up with those. In regards to the school dude work order system, the expectation is that when a work order is entered, within 24 hours, you're notified, 24 to 48 hours, I'm sorry, unless there's an emergency, whether it's HVAC, water leaking, electrical, fire, you're notified that action is going to be taken, and within 7 to 14 days, a repair is made or action is taken. My team, along with the team with Matt's team, is to enter comments into that work order. And what School Dude is meant to do and does is return those comments back to the end user, back to you if you were to put the work order in, and tell you, hey, we noticed you put a work order in, we visited your room, your office, and we noticed the light's out, we had to order it, it'll come in on this day and we'll put it in. If the system is not working that way, we'll follow up on that end. I'll take the president's comments to make sure that we do a review of the system itself, and then put in a maintenance system for the laundry, I believe it was the laundry rooms, and the student halls.
Okay, so now be careful now, because the last time we had the police department, remember Anthony Jerome, and we had our team here, you know, actually get out there and work the system and really assess that. So just be careful with that, because I know that this group here, the PAC members, they're going to get on this school dude, and they're going to put some thing and see the weight, because they're going to come back with us. So I can't wait to see exactly how this super sleuth team will actually reach out there and look at school dude. So you guys are on it, right?
So School Dude is something that we audit daily, and we can always improve.
Hey, Jerome and Anthony.
I know Felicia's looking at me and she's saying, well, how good can you get, right? Well, we can always get better. So we do appreciate your feedback, and I'm looking at, you know, everybody here and whoever can be is online listening. But we can only improve with feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have feedback, you know, we're only as good as we think we are doing.
Yes.
So we do appreciate the feedback, and we solicit the feedback, and we will improve as much as we potentially can improve to help you. And what is the limit? And the limit is, could it be immediate? No, right? Unless it's a life safety thing. But it's quick turnarounds. It's quick turnarounds with the staff that we have available.
Thanks, Steve. They'll find out.
That they will.
But I do just want to bring us some highlights. So the last time we were at the town hall meeting, it was a couple things that was brought up. One was the food availability or access in East Campus, right? That was addressed by the team as well, so thank you very much. So every time I'm thinking about things, I'm going to give concerns and problems we had during the town hall and those solutions, and the fact that we now have access. I know one thing, I know it was, a couple of students last time we were here addressed the issues that we had in Vaughn Ames. I think Vaughn Ames. Remember
Vaughn Ames, yes.
Yeah. So could you please talk about some of
Absolutely,
those
yes.
issues they had with?
So Vaughn Ames, there was a couple issues that were brought up regarding the plumbing, drainage, and faucets not working. So AJ and I looked at every room in Vaughn Ames and ensured that we went back. We did find some issues, corrected those issues. We've since gone back and continued to audit that building,
Okay.
ensure we stay on top of those issues.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think, is Anthony, are you going to talk about lighting?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
Okay.
that. We're gonna talk about
I'll
when
let
we get to
him
that safety
bring that
part
up.
there.
Okay.
Yes, thanks a lot.
All right.
But also want to just say that myself and Dr. Salvatore, Michael Salvatore, he's our Senior Vice President Administration, we went on a walkthrough. What building was that again?
Science.
Hennings, right? When I walked through Hennings, just because we've heard some concerns. I want to thank the faculty member that brought it to my attention. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to single her out, but she did bring it to my attention, the fact that some of the facilities. So just to let you know that we will be going on doing rounds, facility rounds with my leadership team in the near future to make sure that we can assess ourselves. I think it's important as we start to see these things, right? So I'm going to actually have our team, I'm going to go with you, our team, to go in some of the residence halls and look at some of those things we're talking about. So we are going to do that, and as a result of the conversation. So technically, when you bring it to our attention, we will see to it and address it. It may not get finished in your time, because I understand sometimes your sense of urgency is different from ours because it's also a financial situation. It's also bidding, depending on what the project is. So just understand, at least we will address those concerns and issues and deal with it. I want to thank you, Steve, and your team for really addressing those. It wasn't so bad, right, Steve? The seat? That spotlight is hot, too. It's after the fact, exactly. Thank you, sir.
Okay, just moving on to the last portion. I know we're going to speak about campus safety after. But on the same topic, in addition, the President's Advisory Council, along with the President's Office, has received a number of concerns pertaining to the culture and climate within residential student services for residents and workers.
Yes, well, I have been dealing with that, and even on a personal note in regards to someone in my family. It's very challenging if you're a family member of the president to be on this campus, because I think people, whatever advantage you may have on your own, they probably think it's advantage because of me. So I apologize for those folks who know me intimately, know me well, that are students here, that you have to go through that. However, my goal is to make sure that all students, not just my family members, all students here are respected, shown respect regardless of their last name, regardless of their financial status, regardless of their class, right? So we want to make sure we're going to do that. So I've been hearing some things that are occurring in regards to how we communicate with one another. As I said before, there's a lot of things that I can't control, right? But I can control the culture, right? I make it loud and clear for those individuals. If you're disrespectful on this campus, and if you're speaking to individuals in a condescending way, and you are harassing and intimidating, then guess what? That is not accepted here at Kane. And it starts with me. I think those individuals that have spoken to me and interacted with me, I don't yell, I don't scream. And I try to be funny, but that's just me. But I never try to be mean-spirited or disrespectful. So therefore, what I expect from the top all the way down, when I talk about student experience, when I talk about faculty experience and staff experience, I'm serious, and even my administration. So we will not tolerate that. We are looking into this very seriously. I've spoken to our Vice President of Student Affairs. I've spoken to our Vice President of Administration oversees student affairs. And let me just say this, we are dealing with that. We're addressing with this. I also spoke with our Executive Director of DEI, Tamika Quick, to make sure that we have some training across the board for those. Also, we're going to have some conversation with Andrew over HR to make sure there's cultural competencies in place, right? To make sure that people aren't perceiving one another, right? Making sure that we don't prejudge individuals, right? So that's important for me, because culture and climate is very important. A university or an organization, institution cannot grow if it's toxic. No matter what system we put in place, I always say culture trumps strategy. And it's real. I can have the best laid out strategic plan. I can have the best curricula. I can have the best programs. But if you walk on this campus and feel uncomfortable, you will not do your best. And you will not perform. And no one want to come to this place. Over the last 2 years, I realized this is a wonderful place. I always say diversity is our strength, and that's what makes this place special. But I don't want anyone to feel a certain way because of who they are and what they do. So just know this. If you are speaking in a way that's inappropriate, you're harassing, intimidating, and bullying, I promise you it will be addressed. So thank you for all the students that have brought it to my attention, and we're going to deal with it. And we're going to start with training. Because I think sometimes people don't understand that what they're saying, whether it's a microaggression, right? They don't understand that. So we need to be able to teach individuals about the things that they say and how what they're saying can hurt an individual. And I think that's when we can start building a culture, right? A culture of high expectation, a culture of respect, and a culture which allow everyone to reach their potential. And that's what we want. So I'm not really going to go more on that because I know for a fact that we are in the planning stage to address that, but just know that I did employ all the resources we have at this university to ensure that no matter what students and faculty and staff, and it's not just a student issue, culture is not a student issue. And then how do we check the climate of the culture? Town halls. How do we check the climate of a culture? Our climate survey. Now, I'm going to say this. Let's talk about the climate survey. Only 6% of our students participated in the climate survey. The majority of respondents are faculty and staff. So this is your opportunity. Now, I mean, this is an institution, so nothing you put in that is gonna say, oh wow, we're gonna close the doors. Sometimes we need the mirror, and sometimes the brutal fact coming back in that mirror may not be what we expect, it may not what we like. However, if you are filling out that survey and responding in a way in which it's not hateful and spiteful, then yes, those responses to those questions, we can take them. So please, students, we talk about let your voices be heard. This is an opportunity for us to do in Student Hall, but you also have to fill out these surveys. Orley talked about it with the service, with the dining survey. Now we're talking about the climate survey. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for some updates on some concerns that were addressed in the last town hall meeting in the fall semester. So the first one was campus lighting. So I know that the implementation of brighter lights on the Miron Student Center patio was implemented, and also along Cougar Walk. Also with a recent concern was campus transportation, kind of distinguishing the routes and making sure students get on the right buses. They did implement color coordinated routes, maps on the bus routes and on the buses, taped inside the buses, so it makes it kind of easier for students to distinguish if they're on the right bus or not. And lastly, the campus police visibility. We have heard from many students this semester that officers have been a part of the campus community a little bit more and have been more visible around campus and different facilities, and students have been seeing this and feeling safer on campus. So that's it for updates.
Well, I want to thank Anthony Monticello and Jerome Hartsfield, the leaders of the Kane University Police Department, and their amazing team. Because when I got the job a few years, I guess 20-something months ago, COVID is like the Twilight Zone, right? It's just time just goes by. However, they talked about creating this campus policing that's friendly. And I think the efforts they were doing prior to the last town hall, they were making efforts. But because, as Steve said, sometimes you don't know how effective you are until someone tells you that you're ineffective. And I think they stepped up to the plate in a big way. They had a round table with the PAC members, and I tell you this, the PAC members, they respectfully voiced their concerns. And I was pleased the fact that they was taking copious notes. They were on point, and as a result of that, it challenged us to do what is right for safety for our students. And we're talking about increased lighting. That happened. If you look on this campus, this place lit up like a stadium, right? So thank you very much for that. They talk about the app, the campus app we're working on. So and they talk about the visibility. So I want to just publicly thank you gentlemen and for your entire staff, really, officer, for doing a great job and showing what it is when the campus and the police department come together to show really what campus policing is all about. And I can honestly say I appreciate the work that you're doing and the hard work. But also I'm just impressed with the fact that you're hiring a staff, a team that's representative of this community. And I think people are taking notice of that. Whether it's the new security guards you're bringing in, whether it's the people that you have going into your police academy. So thank you guys for that work, and I appreciate that. I wanted to say that publicly. Well, no, this, to me, thank you very much, everyone. I think, I'm going to get up here now. Ah, my knees. Bill, I'm not as spry anymore as I used to be, Bill, right? But I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank this team for really leading, right? When I created this pack, I want to thank Tuna with Kate Gallagher and Tuna Ballaghan for really kind of supporting me on this. Because I can't be at every meetings, but they're there all the time working with them, so thank you very much. But I think the value add of what you see is that we have an opportunity, a forum, to come here every semester. But what's important is that you're hearing solutions from the previous concerns. And I think that's progress, right? That's progress. Anytime you can see that. You know, we're not perfect. No one is perfect, only God. However, if we strive for excellence in all areas, then we're going to be fine. And I think so today, takeaways for us is that we really need to look at our culture and climate as we move forward, making sure it's a climate of respect, you know, looking at housing and making sure that it's affordable. I think we're all trying to look at that, but making sure that our facilities are maintained and our facilities, we have concerns that they're addressed in a timely fashion. And also the third takeaway for me is food, right? Making sure that we have options for those who are non-traditional eaters, making sure that we have a variety, and also making sure the wait time. So thank you very much. Is there any questions? I always like to give opportunities for folks that are here in the audience. Any questions that you may have? And this is for the staff, or some students that really didn't submit a question or really didn't participate in the climate survey, students, to really just ask a question that's on the top of your mind. The worst can happen, I'll sit and say, I don't have an answer for it. I can get back to you. Or at least you're on record and you have your response written down, your question or concern written down. However, if you do, just be respectful in asking about it and have some grace for us in regards to what we're trying to do to make this university better. Anyone?
There's one right.
Who? Okay, stand up, young lady.
I actually had a point based on the first point that we had with the student about the parking. I know the issue is parking, but I have heard a lot of students whose cars have been getting hit in the parking. Oh, sorry, Jason.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So this is like based on the first question about parking. I just know a lot of students whose cars have been getting hit. I know recently someone who worked at the Office of Admission with me, her taillight got hit. She doesn't really know how. She just came back. So I do know there is some incidents of students' cars getting hit while they're parked or while someone's trying to get into their parking spot. But like that's just another issue that is not just parking spot spaces, but also like the safety of people's vehicles.
Is there anything you want to touch on that one? We want to thank you for bringing us attention. Is there anything you guys doing in regards to the visibility in the area right there, or Anthony, you guys can
Obviously, always report because if it's a leaving the scene accident,
take your mask over here.
if it's a leaving the scene accident, obviously with our cameras, hopefully with some extra license plate, we will have some other technology coming in place where we can pick up on maybe someone leaving the scene. But always get the information, make the accident report, and we can follow up with a license plate. Hopefully, we can help you with your insurance.
So one of the things that we talked about the last town hall meeting was safety, and we talked about use of cameras. I think that the team is really looking at the best modern technology in regards to catch license plates as we enter, and to be able to have cameras strategically placed. So I think working with Andrew and Felice and Anthony, we can make sure we can try to see how can we strategically place cameras throughout so we can kind of capture. So that's something maybe we can do maybe this summer, look at how can we kind of capture the entire campus. And I'm sure you guys have done it, so don't think that I'm saying that you're not doing it. But I want to make sure that we can at least try to see how we can do that and be able to come back and be able to talk about that. So thank you for your question. I know it's a concern. Anyone else? Yes?
You have to use the device in order for you to pick it up. No, you have to use it because it's being streamed.
It's being streamed, so they can't.
I'm coming.
Run, Kobe, run.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, I just had a quick question. I'm graduating, so this doesn't really apply to me. But the move to IO2, are there going to be reevaluation of programs, particularly graduate programs?
No, we're actually doing a whole lot. I mean, we have a new provost, Dr. David Birdsell, and what we're doing right now is that, so the reality is we're in a transition phase. So we're not at R2 yet. We're transitioning to that status. We are a research university designated by the state of New Jersey. So we understand that we are going through a complete academic audit and what we're doing. David Birdsell just started this academic year, and I can tell you this, he has been hitting the ground running. We have been working. I want to just shout out James Castiglione, Professor James and his team, and Frank for really kind of working with us as we start to move and negotiate, looking at academics. I think it's not just that easy, because when you're trying to get a program approved, you have to go through a series of steps and process. One has to do with the state, one has to do with the committees that we have to go through with the New Jersey President's Council. So there's steps that we must take. So I can tell you this, that is going to take a lot longer in the process, like R2 is, but these other areas are just things that we can do immediately. So these are short-term. We're dealing with a lot of short-term concerns. Infrastructure short-term, because that's something we can do. We can actually fix it. There's a problem, but academics is a piece that we're going to have a process with, okay? But we are looking at all of that, because when we get to this point, and I want everyone to know that as we aspire to be an R2 designated university, we understand that we're truly a liberal arts university at heart. We're born out of a teaching college. We're not going to forget that. We're not going to forget our roots. However, like everything in evolution, there is the next step, the next iteration for Kane University, and that's for us to be a research university. Because the benefits of being a research university will land on your shoulders, because it'll be more opportunities for scholarships and grants and research, more opportunity for tags. So for us, it's not just the status, it's what that status brings and gives us as a whole, and that's why when I talked about becoming a research university, it was really in its totality and not just for the sake of having dollars come in. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And for those that are online, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to actually come in and stream and view what's going on at Kane University. I want to thank my students for those questions. And like I said before, your voices are important. Continue to advocate. Thank you. Have a great day.